The agenda. That's
You can move down here. It's easy. Good evening. I'd like to call to order the meeting for Bedford Township's Budget Workshop, Committee of the Whole. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Bob?
okay. I'd like to start with a short review of our prior meeting. Does anybody have any additional discussion? My laptop just died. I don't know what's going on. Any discussion on economic outlook discussion?
So Al, you want to just give a quick little brief update? He went to the SEMCOG meeting. And he's been representing the township at Southeastern Michigan Council of Governments and has a little bit of information.
Yeah, it's basically kind of what's going on in southeastern Michigan a little bit. They were talking about growth in our region overall, how it's not rapidly growing. We've had an outflow of jobs. And just some stats they had for Bedford Township is that they figure by 2050, we are only going to gain about 1,907 people. That's not a lot of people from here to 2050. So they're taking a look at it. When we take a look at building homes in our area, is that last couple of years, we've only did 50 homes. That's down from a peak in like 97 of like 250 a year. So again, home building due to various factors is not rip-roaring, okay? And if we look at the county overall, they used to build back in 2001 about 1,000 homes a year in Monroe County. Last year they did 235. So you just don't make up 800 units. The other thing that can affect our region is that there are so many water pipes and sewer systems that are going to be going to the state to be replaced that are so old and decrepit, they're falling apart, and a lot of these communities don't have the money. We're talking about one area got like $3 billion and that was gone. Like they said, we need more than $3 billion a year to try and keep up. So that can have effect on Michigan's budget because I'm sure you got to have water and you got to have sewer. So those are some things that are starting to happen. And just a little quick update that, like they're looking at the whole area of EVs, electric vehicles, how that's affecting the area, that type of thing, which I'll have more information on that because they keep studying that and how that impact is going to affect us, because here's the other thing. They haven't figured out how to tax EVs either. So last year we lost about $50 million in taxes for the roads because they're plugging in at their house or whatever, and there is not a separate tax. They're just paying whatever you do for your lights. So that's being discussed, like how do we do that? So those are just a couple things to kind of what's kind of happening in the region. So if you want more information, I got a couple booklets that get into real detail of a lot of other sectors.
Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate it. Okay, Bob.
So with that discussion, we have set our unassigned general fund balance to 50%. If anybody has any discussion on that?
I think that's solid.
Solid.
I mean, personally, I don't think we need 50%, but we can do it, so let's do it and prepare for a rainy day someday.
Okay.
And hope we don't use it.
Yeah.
Item 3, I just wanted to cover again our fund balance types. So we have three categories of funds. We have governmental funds, proprietary funds, and fiduciary funds. So in the governmental funds, we have our general funds, all of our special revenue funds, our debt service funds, and capital project funds. Proprietary funds Those are the funds that generate their own revenue through fees. And then we have our fiduciary funds, which are custodial funds, where it's usually money in, money out in our pension. All righty. Let's get into budget review. My connection is not working properly. Alrighty. Revenues. I think there's a big lag. Yes. It just lost connection again. Yeah, I'm going to try switching to Wi-Fi. I can't do anything, it's totally locked up. Oops, I had that hard copy.
Do you want to call somebody up for now?
I'm going to try switching to Wi-Fi.
We should be able to switch Wi-Fi.
Sure.
We should be okay.
Oh, thank you. I might have to just get the table down.
Well, you.
Just totally locked up
So
on it.
now it's.
Let's see, the table copy's still there. Continue with
That's
that.
over. Should I?
Just take it out, so.
Do you want, there's a table copy over there. Thank you. Yes. Alrighty, with the revenue.
Lori, can they hear us?
Yes.
Okay.
First place I'd like to start is going to be on page 2 with contributions to fireworks. Carol, if you want to discuss any plans with that.
Yes, they're changing the contributions to fireworks. We have not collected in the past 2 years because of the pandemic and everything, but we estimate that there'll be at least $800 this year for contributions. We charge for the food trucks that appear at the fireworks display, so that's part of that, as well as donations. And hopefully this year they'll get out and actually get some donations.
I know I ran a history of contributions to fireworks for the last 10 years, prior to COVID, and they averaged about $4,800 per year in contributions.
There's your view about it all of that.
Well, let's continue on, this is still trying to connect.
I think the other thing was the rental revenue up there. We had only 15,000 and we had over 40,000 last year, so we're assuming we're gonna have at least 40,000 in rental revenue this year.
Change that from 15 to 40?
Yes, yes, please.
Yes, that will be line 40,
47?
yes. And that's for hall rentals. All right, the next topic area is, oh, for the contribution, so you're going to stick with 800 in firework contributions?
Yes, I think so. Because we're assured of that, everything else is a guesstimate, so we'll go with the 800.
Okay.
What's the disconnect with that?
In the prior years, they averaged $4,800 before
Well, he
COVID.
said, what's the disconnect?
Yeah, what's the,
Why are they not getting more?
yeah, what's the,
Well, because of COVID, we did not ask for donations. Before, we used to hit up all the businesses in the community and ask for donations. The current board didn't feel they needed to do that. They just wanted to go with the food trucks and see if we could get donations without a mailing. We used to do a mailing to everybody that had a business in Bedford.
so nobody's asking? That's the, okay, so
Right,
now
that's
you-
it, yeah.
Let's try this. Still moving. Okay, for White Park Diamond Lease utility reimbursements.
What number is that, Bob?
56.
56? 52. Okay, for contracts, previous years, we asked that they reimburse us for the amount that we paid for electric and water usage over there at White Park. The current board is feeling that because of all the money they're putting into the park over there, with new baseball diamonds, they're doing new backstops and everything, that we weren't going to ask for reimbursement at this time.
That would technically probably be against the law,
Okay.
because we cannot spend taxpayer dollars for private entities, period. Whether, you know what I
Well,
mean?
it's our park.
I understand that, but we're spending taxpayer dollars on their utilities,
That's what you're saying. Okay.
so they're gonna have to pay them.
All right, well, we'll have to work on that then. In that case, yeah, leave it at 3,500. I think we'll take care of that.
Okay.
And that's probably the same thing for the water then, the sewer use at White Park? Yeah.
And then I think as long as you're here, we'll just jump right down to see if there's anything else in parks we need to discuss.
I think you're probably going to discuss the engineering fees. We're doubling that this year from 10,000 to 20,000.
Yes, I think we talked about that last meeting. Were those engineering fees related to the capital items?
Part of it, but the board seems to feel that it's a new parking lot. It's not, I mean, there's a parking lot there already at Samaria. We're talking about expanding the parking lot at Samaria Park for the hall use over there. And so we are going to need some engineering fees for that. And I thought that was the best place to put the money as opposed to the capital improvement plan. So we doubled it to 20 because was our.
So this new lot, what line item is that under repair and maintenance?
No, I think we put that in the capital improvement plan.
Yeah. So that's where you want your engineering fees to be.
Well, then we'll probably need to increase that by another 10,000 at least.
What page are we on?
Line 742.
Page is 18.
The other line item for the engineering fees was line 707. But that's how, if this parking lot is going to be a new parking lot, you're not just putting a seal coat on it or chip seal or anything like that.
Right.
It's a brand new lot. Or even if you rip out the entire lot and put another one in, that would be capital. All expenses related to that would also be capital. For engineering fees, did you have any other projects other than
Well, at the
the parking
moment,
lot?
we've got the master plan, which was going to be about $10,000.
And that was going to be out of engineering fees?
Yes,
Okay. Is 10,000 going to be enough?
I think so, yeah.
All right.
The quote came in under that, so we should be all right.
The only other question I had was, there was a lot of money in your maintenance. If you had any idea what type of maintenance projects you plan for FY24?
We were talking about new fencing over at one of the parks, replacing some of that playground equipment, the broken stuff while we can, and then again, restone the parking lot at White Park. And then the rest of it is just general maintenance. We don't know what's going to come up that we're going to need to repair, so that's why we're sticking with the 63.
Last meeting, we decreased that to 40. Your history on this has averaged about $36,000 a year in annual maintenance. With fencing, playground equipment, restone, parking lot at White, and unknowns, that will exceed 40,000.
Well, I think we should stick with the 63 myself, but, I mean, besides the parking lot at White, we've got other parking lots that are going to need resealing at some point. We'd like to get it done as soon as possible, so if we could keep it with that, if that.
Is that something you can pull out of there?
Yes.
For other funds?
Big projects like that should start going to
Yes. Just for clarification, what she's saying is all these capital projects should be going, in long-term projects, big projects, should be going through the capital improvement plan, which is the township improvement plan budget.
And how soon will that become available, though? Will it be available this year? Because that's something, my understanding, it's going to be pulled a little bit each year, and then after a certain amount of years, we'll have some money to do these improvements. But if they need to be done sooner than that, I would think they need to be out of this.
No, what I'm saying is for future, when we start thinking about putting
Yeah.
money away for future.
Okay.
But what I was telling Bob, any shortfall you guys have that you feel you need, you can still pull out of your other fund.
Right, we can switch it around. thing was
stayed at 10.
tennis courts. They wanted to redo the tennis courts this year. Tennis and pickleball at both Carr and White. And that's gonna about tearing out the old ones and
So do they need to put their money in this budget?
replacing
That's
the
already
ones.
in there.
Right now, they have 40,000 set aside, but we didn't know what we're gonna spend it on. If we have a good idea what they're gonna spend it on, we can put it in the notes and then give a best guess. If we don't have a best guess, they have two options. They can come back, ask for a budget resolution, or they have their fund carried over from Fund 208. I think there's 200,000+ in there that's available for use.
Any other questions, or anybody else have anything?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Carol.
Okay.
Just scroll back through, I don't think we had a whole lot of unsolved or
Can we get the fire department up here?
yes.
Get him out of here.
Let me make a note real quick.
How you doing, Chief?
Good, how are you doing?
Good.
Good.
Fire fund, you're up, Bob.
Okay, so we'll look at 206 first. For the most part, the only thing that we did to this is a little bit of cleaning up this year. We did move some things around. As an example, instead of having office supplies and then operating supplies, what we did is we did remove one line item and combined a few of them, just to make it a little bit cleaner. The other thing we did is, as of right now, the property taxes is what this budget is based off of. That way we have the special assessment for capital improvements. It's kind of what we're looking for. This way we have any emergent needs that we can fund that, but then also looking kind of down in the future for that. For anything that was significantly changed, again, what we more than likely did was move that into another line item. The only thing that we added to was, if you look down at recruitment and retention, this is going to be the most significant change what we did. And what we're looking to do is kind of how we talked before about training in-house, so that way we can bring our people, train them for paramedics. So right now, that fund right there would allow us to potentially train up to 3 people in the next year for paramedic.
That was line 863.
And that again is the most significant change to the budget. We did do increases of utilities, just as kind of the expectation that those are going to increase. We did increase fuel, just to prepare for that, being most of what we're using is diesel. And then we did add 2 additional line items, which was added towards the end of this fiscal year for legal fees.
Those are line 834 and 836. With this requested budget, if you stay on budget this year, you're projected to have a 1.5 million fund balance, ending fund balance. You'll be in good shape. Fund 211?
211, okay.
There's a like decent jump in contracted services.
Correct. So that's one of the ones that we did combine. So anything that we have contracted out, so pest control, trash pickup, things of those nature,
Okay,
we've
so
closed out.
Those are lined in.
Correct.
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, just to make it a little bit easier to follow instead of having so many different line items.
To 11.
Fund 211 will start on line 1025.
And then 211, there's not going to be a whole lot of changes to that. What we do have, we still have about 800,000, and then with that ambulance, which is in, we have about 1.1 million in vehicles that we still have pending. We have a payment for the ladder truck coming up this year, and then we have a one-time payment which would finish that off, which would be in the next budget year. So right now, that money is, we have 300,000 set aside for this budgeted year, so that way we can prepare for those payments. The apparatus maintenance, we did double. Just again, because we're going to attempt to start getting ahead of maintenance. So we're going to start doing more precautionary repairs. We're seeing, as with everybody else is seeing, with the new filters, new exhaust parameters that they're putting in from the federal government, we are seeing an increase in maintenance because of what we normally would release into the air is now being recirculated into the engine. So we are seeing some increased maintenance with that.
Good?
Yep.
I locked up again, so I gotta go back to paper. Any other questions, comments?
Nope, I mean, if anybody has any questions about it, I guess that for the most part, everything is the same. We did just kind of move a little bit of stuff around on it.
Very good.
Okay.
There's the principal payment on the ladder truck for, so that'll be, oh, that's next fiscal.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's what we're preparing with that 300. We're putting that aside. The next fiscal will be put aside, so we have enough for that payment.
Okay, that's the number, it wasn't adding up, but, okay, that's exactly what it is.
Okay.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Dee with the library and Jody?
Well, this will be Fund 271, line number 1,177.
Floor is yours.
Does anybody have any questions?
We have, the capital outlay is probably where you might want the most explanation of what we asked for. That was $63,000 there. That is split amongst multiple things. Wait, let me flip to the right page, sorry. I'm used to doing electronic stuff too, so. In that section, that's $15,000 for converting one of our small meeting rooms to a podcasting video creation space. That includes the equipment for that. It's $35,000 for installing an electric vehicle charging station in the north parking lot of the library.
Who have you guys been working with on that?
Harry has taken the lead on that, and he has pricing from 3 different companies.
Has he checked with consumers?
He
Grants
has.
and all that, he has?
He
Yeah,
has.
There's a couple other sources, but consumers, we have to buy a vehicle.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
We have a question on your electric charging stations.
Yes,
Obviously, my guess would be, but just for confirmation, is there going to be a fee for users?
correct.
That's what I.
Correct. It's a
Yeah.
pay-as-you-charge, yeah. It'd be just like pumping gas in your
Okay.
car, you plug the car in and you run your car.
But again, by law, it would have to be.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And we have quotes from 3 different companies for doing it, but Harry had asked for different locations in the parking lot. And so we just upped that. I had sent you that because our original quote was closer to the building than what we're thinking now, which I like the new location better, but
Is that a supercharger or just a regular?
no, it's a regular charger. Yeah, yeah. And then 5,000 of that is for doing drip irrigation in the front beds of the library, and 8,000 for installing an attic lift system so we can safely get things up into our attic and back down. Which right now is the majority of what's in our attic is holiday storage kinds of things, but it's in special events. I shouldn't just say holiday because all of our summer reading things, the stuff we do with Relay for Life, like there's multiple things that we just keep up there because we only use them once a year. So that's the biggest thing. I don't know if there was anything else that you needed more info on. We, similar to what a couple other people have said, had a couple places where things were moved from one location to another, like it had been in maintenance and it moved to contracted services or vice versa, in a couple places. So a couple line items might look a little different from the past because of that, but it kind of averages out.
I guess one comment, just to confirm, we're gonna have rental income, so I'll get with you to add a line for revenue for.
Yeah, and we don't stick a whole lot in there. This past year, we only did 250, and I think we have rented it twice.
I meant your electric vehicles. When's that get up to the-
Yes, right. We won't have any idea what that'll be till we
Yes.
see it happen.
I don't think you'll see a huge revenue source from it.
But we'll create a line item.
Great idea. I'm tracking
Not
people there.
till the time,
When
years
the
go
time
on,
comes, we'll-
but at least it'll be on a map. It may not be people in our community, it could be somebody coming
Yeah,
off of
that's a great
75,
idea.
and we're the closest one they can get to.
We're on page 28. We're on page 28.
We also still had in there, which we budgeted this year also, window cleaning and carpet cleaning, which we haven't been doing. We haven't done that since pre-pandemic. We really need to get that done. We had the one group came in that one time last year to do the windows, but we need to get that on a regular rotation. So we're working on quotes right now that I'll take to the library advisory board. And I'm having them price it separate to do the exterior windows and then an add-on for all the interior windows. My thought being, if we do all the interior windows one time a year and then the exterior windows at least twice a year, the window washing companies are assuring me that the stuff they use to do the windows will repel dirt and we won't have to wash them more than twice a year. We'll see if that's right or not. But no matter what, it'll look better than it does right now. Any questions?
With these changes, and if your budget stays on track, we're expecting the fund balance of $644,000. That's pretty good.
And that's even with all the stuff you just put in there for the mowing and everything?
Oh, we can address that. With our buildings and grounds group, they spend time at Township Hall, at the cemeteries, fire station, library, and parks. So the maintenance supervisor lead provided 3 years of historical cutting records, and we came up with a good approximate percentage of how to split time between Township Hall, parks, cemeteries, fire, and library. We split that out between the full-time employees, part-time employees, and seasonal employees. We did that with all those different departments and funds. So that is something new for the library.
I noticed it doesn't have anything in part-time and seasonal there though. And seasonal is the lawn mowing, right? But,
Well, we put it right now in Pat's.
okay,
He's not sure how he's going to assign the seasonal part-timers yet.
okay.
But yes, when he goes forward in FY '24, we'll have much better records broken out between full-time and part-time instead of just we're here. And that also includes light maintenance, changing light bulbs, that kind of thing. And snow removal,
And salt.
and salt.
It's really not enough, to be honest with you. We're just giving a low average. I mean, you think about the time that, cleaning gutters and the pipe that's leaking, anything, that they're, but just trying to start somewhere and just so we can track the time it takes. The money being spent. Okay, any more questions for the library? You guys have anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay, we're good. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank
We
you.
have Phil from
Yep, DDA. Bill, thanks for being here.
I missed the big meeting.
With DDA, we're going to start with Fund 248 on line number 1,133.
1133.
The DDA has two funds. One is their daily operating fund, which is Fund 248, and then they have their capital outlay fund, which is Fund 494.
There's no need to go through the incremental financing type thing, is there? No. Okay. So, basically, the expenditures related to 494 are capital items. We had a number this year which included the full paving, repaving of Quail Hollow Drive, and of course work on Prince Albert Pocket Park. Other than that,
Pearl.
I mean, what did I say?
Pearl.
Prince Albert. Pearl. Pocket Park's right though. Yeah, Prince Albert. Does anybody really remember Prince Albert but me?
I remember.
It used to be a
I
tobacco in the can like that.
he's a pipe smoker.
No, my dad was, not me, he didn't smoke. Anyway, beyond that, I have covered all of these other figures with Mannix and Smith, who obviously, because they are the project partners, they do primarily all of the estimating. So of current interest right now is that we have the signal on Stearns and Quail Hollow, and the signal going in on Secor and Quail Hollow. This was a big area of safety because obviously Stearns Road is one of the busiest, and Secor more so really. Well, no, Stearns first, Secor second. And of course, all of these projects are due to benefit the business people who actually represented on the board also. So it's a choice by many people, and as I said, we use Mannix and Smith to confirm the levels. So the one we have going on currently, and we had a switch in terms of which one would come first, because we had problems getting an okay from Kroger's, let's call it management company, that didn't seem to to value at the time that it was a big safety issue, but they've since done that. In that interim, we did switch to two instead of which one would go first. That would be the one at Quail Hollow in Secor will be accomplished first, followed by the other one on at Stearns and Quail Hollow. Each of those are the primary items that will be addressed. Again, we have repairing curves and driveways, which is pretty straightforward. And seasonal decoration is going to go up a little bit because we thought in the business area we require a little bit more bang for their buck in that area. So that's essentially it. Probably the most current item, and Paul can probably expound on this even more, but on the safety cameras, I wasn't there for the second discussion, but we had Recourse Scout, Flock Safety, and WCC TV drones. And prior to that, of course, the sheriff was in good enough putting his position on, and they will basically, they and a few others will be actually using that value. Paul, did you know that there was a later input according to Barry? And that was the one on either Honeywell or Motorola. Well, apparently a number of the police entities are looking for a way where they can all share their data equally, and he said something about that data sharing would be best with the use of that kind of thing. One of those two items there, the other ones have that already. So I guess we'll have to take a look at that as we continue the discussion, correct? I mean,
Yeah.
so anyway, so we have a fourth contestant in there too, and then we'll be doing the requisite estimates on that. But anyway, it'll be covered by the capital outlay we hope to have for this. And the safety cameras are really something new because the businesses really need them all the way up to the reading of license plates and all that type of thing. So the data can be picked up and used by the police. Other than that, little sidewalk construction, road construction, and that's about it.
Thank you. Any questions?
So what is the transfer out? Was 240, now it's going to be 300?
Yep, the transfer out with that is I'm gonna go back to.
It's a $60,000 change.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're gonna go back to fund 248. What happens in 248 is that's where they receive their assessment revenue, or their revenue.
Right.
Yep, that fund, we're at line 1,137.
Right.
This fund is their daily operating fund, so at the end of the year, this should be as close to zero as possible. They currently have a fund balance of $255,000 if their budget this current year stays exactly as planned. So when they add another $300,000 in revenue, we're going to transfer that out from Fund 248 to Fund 494.
Because that's where it'll most likely be spent, obviously.
Yes.
And that is the capital fund,
Yep.
really.
And that'll leave a fund balance of around $177,000. It was just a round number, $300,000 to transfer out right here, which would then be a transfer in to Fund 494.
It's really essence just going from the operating budget to the capital budget.
Yes.
That's it.
Any more questions? Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I think that's everybody that's here.
The other part is on page 53.
Hey, Bob.
Is everybody ready? Any other moment yet? We're gonna go back to Department 445 in the general fund. That will be on line 541. We're just picking up in the general fund to clear up any outstanding items. We just highlighted that with a question, just to verify 130 was enough. I'm not sure if we found an answer to that. If we leave it at 130, should we change that?
It fluctuates, as you can obviously, each year. This year was higher. You can leave it at 130.
Okay, I can take the yellow off.
Yeah, that's fine. And then and I'll know more in, send it in October, November. And give you a clearer number then. And the Drain Commission sends me the information. Because I won't know until then.
The next line item, we talked about this today a bit with the plotter. This is going to be line 642 in the planning department. My understanding is we're going to try to purchase the plotter this fiscal year. I'm not sure if we have any updates on that yet. Let's see what.
She's trying to find other quotes. She's having a hard time. She has one good quote from the company that we bought this last one from, but she's having a hard time finding another 2 quotes.
As long as we make an effort to do it, there's certain things that we're not going to get rid of.
She's contacting HP just to see if they'll send her, but she's not sure if they will.
So if the plotter is purchased this current year, we probably won't need 5,000 unless she's going to spend 5,000 on something else.
Unless, I mean, I think that she said when she purchased it, that would include more paper me because she's going to do that.
We'll get her everything
Yeah,
purchased.
so under 15 should be.
Right. So, I mean, everything would be purchased in
Right.
this current fiscal year, so we won't need anything for next fiscal year.
Correct.
So I can reduce that to 0? Because it'll all be purchased over here. And we'll have to do some adjustments that we talked about.
Correct. Because it'll come out of the tip.
Yes. Yep. All right, so I'm going to take the yellow off on that one. Community action, I think, Paul, you just sent me an email, or somebody sent me an email that we're okay with this.
Yeah, I think we should skip this year.
Okay.
Anybody else have any thoughts on community cleanup?
No, there was, I should have brought it. I got a thing in the mail a week or 2 ago that there's a handful of things around the county that basically fulfill any need that would fulfill, I would think, like, could put that out, like, you know what I mean, like, advertise that a little bit. And we've done it the last couple, and,
I would think
time before.
Past
Give it a
what,
break.
6-7 years, how many times we've done it? 5 times?
I
If
think
you
this-
haven't gotten rid of your junk by then, and if you collected that much more, we're not ever gonna fix your issue. I think if we did it every few years.
That's what we had said. It would be every couple of years.
All right, one more here. This was working so well this morning.
Craig, you said there's info that you read?
I know I have it on my desk. I'll bring it in, but yeah, it was like a flyer I got in the mail, and it was like, I meant to. It's probably literally sitting underneath this, but I meant to bring it for that purpose, to be able to say, yeah, it was like broken down. I think there's one at Indian Creek, but it had a breakdown of different things that you could bring in different events.
I wonder if it's the thing that Dan Rock sends out to everyone.
Oh, okay, I can put that.
I'm not sure.
It sounds like it.
And there was like one thing, it was like 2 days, rim tires and different things.
Sounds like it, he
It
does.
was
Yeah.
like, there was a bunch of, but there was a handful of different dates and different locations and.
And it has the shredding on it? Okay.
Yep. Just advertise that a little bit.
Yeah, we usually put that on our website on TV, so I'm sure it's still there.
Okay, the general fund with all these changes, we were at 51% of fund balance, unrestricted fund balance to expenditures, which leaves us about a $22,000 buffer. So anything during the year, we have a little buffer of $22,000 to keep us at 50% in general fund.
That's right.
Yep. Since our general fund was a little high, we will, in order to get down to the 50%, our expenses will exceed revenue by $288,000. So we'll be pulling some from the fund balance, because the fund balance was a little high. We had a good year last year. All right, fire fund, let's go to the index. Police fund, what that is, that's going to be just the,
You guys say lines,
oh, I'm sorry, police fund line 885. And I got to zoom to, from time to time. Which will take us to the property taxes. So this is where the property taxes, they come into the police fund 207. And I pretty much have all of it, not pretty much, I have all of it going to the contract deputies. The difference is going to be made up in Department 301 by the general fund. So the general fund will be making up the difference.
Have we seen any new notifications from county regarding any more increases?
No, I have talked with Troy, and I'm trying to work on our contract to get an all-inclusive one, but I have not heard back. We're supposed to be talking to Hassan.
It won't be increased. If anything, they were talking about a slight decrease.
Well, I know that since they changed their staffing hours though too, that took some numbers back up, which we approved, so.
Correct, but if we do the all-inclusive and they take over everything, I'm not sure what it'll look like.
It'll probably be close to the same from what he was saying there.
Well, we wouldn't be paying insurance anymore, but they might tack that. So what we are paying now, we might show in their contract
Right.
rather than on us. So it might be a wash once you move. But I have not heard back yet.
Insurance and just the liability that I'm
Correct.
dealing with, being canceled almost.
Mm-hmm. It will be worth it.
Okay, the next fund, we'll just start with Fund 245, which should be the Metro Active Fund, which would be line 1073.
So what do we have roughly in Metro Act funds?
At the end of FY '24, we expect to have about $367,000. Right now, if the budget stays the same, we'll have 337. We're going to add 30.
What's your guys' thoughts on taking a chunk of that?
Oh, wait. Metro funds, we have that much money in?
Yes, let's do it.
That's what we talked about at the last meeting when we put it in the
Yep.
fire department.
So where we'll start is line 1,101 in column P.
But we haven't used it in years, or?
Yeah, but we stopped getting Metro funds, and they started giving it to us in the local stabilities. So that's why I'm wondering if some of the money got put into Metro, and it should be in the local community. So I'd like to double check those numbers to make sure that they're correct.
Well, if they are correct, what's your guys' thoughts on budgeting some of those funds
There's 100,000 there.
for downtown Temperance?
So
Anything, beautification?
it's got to be in the road right of way. Metro funds have to be used in the road right of way. And I'll tell you one thing we used to use it for, we used to put sidewalks in with it.
Yeah, so there's, I mean, we could look at, you know.
I'm
using
just
part of
telling you
it for
what we
we're
used
doing.
to.
I mean, we had talked about actual Temperance Road, some of those, where there's wide enough for more on-street parking. Talked about doing that. I mean, we could always budget half of it and try to come up with some projects.
I don't think there's anything more we can do tonight to verify the numbers,
Yeah.
but that's what it can be used for.
Can you look and see what all it can be used for?
Pretty much anything in the road right of way. Sidewalks, I know that.
Flower pots, lamp posts, light
Light
posts.
Light posts, those are in the road right, I don't know about beautification, but like,
What's that, Neil?
My signs.
It's because we could always match the lamp posts, First Merchants has. You know,
yeah,
go.
I can look into that, but, yeah, we can look into all of that.
I'm just saying, it's, we did the sidewalks, it could use some beautification.
Mm-hmm.
The next one right below would be the local community stabilization fund, Fund 246.
Give me a design of the sign.
They're up, there's 3 of them up. They all need to be refurbed.
Where are they at? Because I don't know where they're at. You talking the
I
overlay
feel
district
sorry
sign?
if you haven't seen my signs.
You talking the overlay district signs?
Yeah.
Shingles.
Oh,
The welcome to
tenants.
Temperance.
Okay, I thought we were talking about
Lewis Avenue.
Talking the welcome to
Lewis Avenue.
Temperance signs.
That's-
Yeah,
Yeah,
The one on the west.
because you were talking about overlay district.
that's the
Signs.
overlay
Okay,
district.
but that's not what it says on there.
I'd like to, if that's big of a use for that, as I've talked before about having something, a sign like that on Stearns coming from 23, like coming east on Stearns, coming into Lambertville.
Well, that's something the DDA could do too, as long as it's
It
within
would
the
be,
DDA.
where you would want it would be outside of the DDA.
Okay, well, we'll find out, Trudy, you can find out. But, all right, keep moving, Bob.
Local Community Stabilization Fund, that's Fund 246, line 1,105. We expect to receive about $24,000 in revenue. The current budget in there is $76,000. So that'll bring us up to $100,000 by the end of FY '24.
And that can only be used for police and fire? Correct.
Like anything that's police and fire.
I believe so, I can double check that. I know it's specific to police and fire. I think we use some of it once for
If we have to keep-
radios.
If we have to
used
keep
it.
doing cars.
Yeah. It's radios
Mhm.
and the body cams.
Mhm.
Could you put AEDs in that for the cars?
If it's for police or fire, I'm sure you can.
That's an option too. I know these have to be replaced every, was it 5 years?
We just have to see what the contract, you're talking police, Rick?
Mhm.
We'd have to see what the contract says, because they'd be, you know, part of the contract, they'd have to provide if it says that. I don't think it's our job to provide AEDs.
I don't think they've done. We had, different groups that have provided.
So you're saying we just added to them just for,
I mean, if they'd accepted the contract.
Okay, move on. The next fund is a brand-new fund. It's Fund 284, line 1,237. This is the opioid settlement fund. we received $14,000 from a legal settlement to spend strictly on opioid-related uses. It's very restrictive.
Spend it on opioids only.
Just a page in the middle.
Not for us.
Oh, is it the backside?
No, page 29 of this. Go right from 28 to 30.
That's weird.
But you know what, I saw opioid fund a minute ago somewhere else.
Did it get mixed up maybe, the pages?
All the pages are okay, because I go 27, 28, 30. Mine is on, yes. So, okay,
You found it?
page is flipped. That's weird, you just print it on the opposite side.
Oh, you have it, Bob?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's strange.
So Bob, you want to just come back with everything that they can utilize and then the board can decide where they want to put the funds?
Yep.
Okay. Because we should spend them. Bob and I
Is
will.
that something that's gonna continue?
No.
Or that's just, you just have that and then that's it?
It's a grant that I went after along with Bob 6 months ago. It's a one-time settlement.
From the state.
Right.
The next is American Rescue Plan, so that plan as we go. Unless you want to throw something in that budget line, but we probably don't have any hard numbers yet.
No, we don't.
So plan as we go on this one?
I mean, it's up in the air right now between the building and the sidewalks. It's.
Plan as we go.
Right.
And with the ARPA, I talked to Bob and Katie knows, I took $2 million of the ARPA and put it into a sweep account that is 100% insured and an interest rate of 4.35%. So
Rick, you had brought up the chipper. Did you guys want to discuss that anymore? Because it was brought up at a special meeting, Bob. We all agreed to
At
put it in there.
at the
You want to
ARPA
leave it
meeting.
in there? It was brought up at the ARPA meeting. Do you want to leave it in, or you guys want to remove it? What do you want to do with it?
But you guys already voted on the chipper.
We voted to buy the chipper, but you had brought up that we didn't say to put it in the ARPA. Well, we did in a ARPA meeting.
Yeah, the ARPA meeting that we presented to the board.
That's
That
what we
special
brought up.
board meeting for ARPA only.
So that chipper's in the master file.
Yes, that's correct. And it was marked with an S.
That's for.
S is for ones that we agreed could use for.
To pay ourselves back.
All right, moving on, Bob.
Transit System Fund. It's my understanding that we will not be receiving taxes in 2024, is that correct?
They're not asking for a millage
Right. So
for a couple of years.
that will leave us with a fund balance, if nothing changes, no additional expenses, about $700,000. So we're not expecting to receive an invoice for a while, if I'm understanding correct?
I believe so. Want to double check on that, but I believe so.
The water fund, rehab fund, and then we go into the debt service funds. All the debt service funds, we have the deficit elimination plans all set to go, so those are in good shape. This brings us down to Fund 405.
How are the revenues coming in? I mean, are people paying their amounts for those
Oh,
funds
yeah.
properly?
it gets put on the taxes. And then if they don't pay it on their tax, pay their tax bill, it gets the county
Right,
then.
it goes to the county.
Yeah, and then they send us payment out of the revolving fund.
A lot of them pay off early too, or paying in upfront.
Road capital improvement fund, we still have 100,000, about 116,000 sitting there for emergency use for the road capital. I'm sorry, this is on Fund 405, pay, or line 1,992. We have 116,000 sitting for emergency use there. Next fund is Fund 446, line 2027. That's Fund Township Improvement Revolving Fund. Had a discussion today, and with the capital improvement plan, they do not have any projects that are yet scheduled to be implemented in FY24. So if they get something, they'll bring it to the board for review and approval. DDA. We covered the building department, which is Fund 549. That takes us to Fund 590, the sewer fund, which is line number 2,196. Anything you want to call out with that?
The only thing that I increased in here was the postage, like I did with the tax, because with the increase of postage. I think I made
I know depreciation expense is going to go up because the sewer plant is completing, is getting final stages.
the sewer taps are not, we're not getting as many of those, obviously, because like we all said, building is obviously down. Dropped it from 5,000 to 45,000, 50,000 to 45,000. Which is line 2203. There really wasn't a whole lot of changes.
If there's no other questions, we've covered everything.
So I still don't have my final number back from Manica Smith. Don't have any big projects scheduled, as far as, outside of Erie Road for this year, but next year, so I'm hoping 300,000 is enough to cover maintenance. It should be.
Oh, this is in the actual road fund?
Yeah, so we should be good there
Special assessment debt.
between the two funds. We get 200 and
Let's go this way. We had $200,000 in road maintenance, and we had $150,000 in capital outlay, and then you had another $100,000.
so it should be fun. So, no, I think we're looking good. Did you say those signs need redone or they need painted?
They need to be fixed, the three that are up, and I need number 4 put up.
They need fixed. Like, can I rehab them and paint them and fix them as they
I
are?
checked with Gary, he did the signs, on the basis is what's bad.
Okay.
I can meet you and show you if you care to.
Yeah, let me know. Shoot me an email or a text. I'll meet you out there. Should we budget a little bit of money for these signs if they need to be fixed or replaced or maintained?
Let's
let's see if we can use Metro funds first. We have so much money.
Okay. You can use that for,
And Mr. Peroni, those are governmental signs, they're in a township easement.
okay.
Yeah, I need some.
No, I was saying, could we use Metro funds for those signs?
Right, because it has to be in the road right away, so those were included.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, anybody else have anything?
Yellows, hopefully.
Yep, all yellows are gone.
Okay, just want to make sure we didn't miss any.
Greg, you got anything else?
Yellows.
Greg, you got anything you want to add?
Let me just run real quick, top to bottom.
Let me do public comment.
Okay.
Anybody have anything?
I'll get up and talk, what the heck, I didn't have nothing else to do today.
Oh, my fingers.
Good to go, or?
Yeah,
Yep.
go ahead.
Okay. Question on to, is this, the issue is with the timing, even to watch live at home, the 5 o'clock is not good. And you guys do your full-time job and you do what you gotta do and you do fine, but the trustees are our voice. Us 31,000 out there, the trustees speak for us. And so it's really sad to think that they're not here, because they all have a different viewpoint, and that's what we need to have. We need to have open opinion here. That health department is for a county and not a township endeavor. We've learned over the years that the community cleanup is a very valuable resource for keeping stuff off of our roadsides and out of our ditches, and it is exclusive for Bedford Township residents. So I really feel you're doing a disservice. I know you think that it's not, people are dumping their trash. What they get to dump is what they can't have picked up by anybody that is their road service. They have to pay extra. So what's it gonna hurt if the township offers this? And we were the only ones in the county at the time the Temperance Action Committee started this, when we did the research, that did not offer this to the residents. In fact, all the other townships that are of our size offer it twice a year, not just once, but twice a year, so that they keep the stuff out of the ditches and off the roadsides and out of the front yards and that kind of stuff. So I really do feel that you need to do that. Like I said, the health department covers the county. It's for hazardous waste. It's for tires through the drain commission. It's the medication, which is through the sheriff's department. So it covers different things, but it's a county. Anybody from the county can come here. So what good is it to have them come here and then we display that all our trash is, along our roadsides? And my crews are doing the best they can with that, the Adopt a Road. I've got quite a few things that are picked up, very few that are left. As far as my signs go, and that's the Metro funds have to be in the road right away. So yes, one sign is not up. The signs are all on township easements, and they were done by Graphic Signs and the sign lady. So we would love to see the fourth one go up. The Temperance Action Committee is not active anymore, and I won't go into the history, so there is no monies. So we rely on the fact that this is a governmental directional sign that is at the outskirts of the overlay district that says welcome. And this is what was expected when we did the revitalization program. So that's why I've always asked. That's it, thanks.
Thank you. Any more?
So I wanted to say it as well. Not a full board, disappointment. I feel like there's other people in the community that would like to come to this, but can't get off work on time. Luckily, I was able to. You have two other trustees that couldn't make it tonight, and they deserve to also have their input on this budget, in which they're elected to represent us as citizens. Two, the flyer that you got in the mail, Mr. Montreat, that's from the county for hazardous waste and special disposal, not regular waste that we offer at Stevens. A lot of our routes, and you may have noticed, are going automated now, no longer getting in the back of the truck. So as far as like bigger items like couches and mattresses, they still have to pay extra money for those to go in a separate truck to pick up. Having it twice a year, we do offer community cleanup twice a year for some jurisdictions in the area that we do community cleanups for. So it doesn't hurt to ask or say something. And another thing too, as far as you said something about flower pots or something in the downtown temperance area, see if that's something that could be donated rather than money that's spent out of the fund. So, or that. Thanks.
Okay, any more public comment? Okay. All right, moving on to comments from board members. I will speak to the fact of the trustees. I mean, last year we sent an email out, 2 trustees didn't show. We sent an email out January 7th, still 2 trustees, no email, no show. What do you want me to do, hold it at 9 o'clock at night? I mean, we're holding it at a decent time, so it's convenient for everybody. We have people that work second and third shift, and it's not gonna work out for everybody. We do the best that we can. I'm talking my public comment, I'm not talking directly to you, so I'm just talking in general. So we're doing the best that we can. It might not work out for everybody, okay? So we make a time, and if the trustees can't make it or it doesn't work for them, send an email, communicate, and say, hey, I can't make it, can we work on that? But we get no response, other than Mr. Steiner said he sent an email in January that I didn't see or we didn't discuss or talk about, but you know, we have to have communication. And I'm not going to change the meeting, or Bob's not going to change it if they're not going to come anyways. So that's my thought on that. I think the budget is going extremely well, and Bob, you just kick him butt with it. The guy spends so much time outside of his regular work hour on this budget. Trudy, you hit a home run finding Bob. So great job. I mean, it's just compared to prior years, Mr. Steiner, it's night and day. You know,
I said, Trudy and Chris and I said interview with Bob, and it was one of those decisions that we said, this was one applicant. He looked good, but what do you do?
Yeah.
And but we all felt comfortable enough with Bob that said, you know what, we got to give it a shot. Even if it's for a year, we got to give it a shot, and we lucked out. So.
Oh, and for the record, I did look at grants for flower pots. There's no grants.
Already?
No.
What about local?
Josh, I'm just saying in general. I'll talk to you after the meeting. But so there's no grants available, you know. But downtown temperance, I'm telling you right now, one of the things that our Lewis Avenue Committee, when we were working on, was parking, and we passed on that. And I'm telling you, there's one business leaving due to parking issues. So we need to do things to attract businesses down there and make it a great place for people to live. And you know, so I think we need to continue to do things. But other than that, anybody else have anything? And Ms. Keene, if you want to get with me on those signs, we'll get them fixed up.
Just follow up, I did look back, and you said about the January email, I did reply to all, and everybody in this room, plus the deputies, everybody and their brother was on that email. So this question has come up to me every single year about meeting early, and as you all well know, my job is in Detroit, and 5 o'clock just doesn't work. And I agreed, I believe it was last year, we were doing 6 o'clock. I said, that shouldn't be a problem. But 5 o'clock, it's just tough on any given day.
So what did you say in your email?
I'd have to look back and see what I said, but I said, first one, I said, the first meeting was 9 o'clock on a Wednesday morning. Now, I replied twice on that because I asked Mr. Miller originally, and he said that it was primarily for the department heads to come to that meeting. So it wasn't that big a deal, but then we got a cow meeting notice saying, hey, this is for the cow at 9 o'clock on a Wednesday morning. And I said, really, on a Wednesday morning? And so I can do it the other way. I replied back, I didn't get a response back from here either, so it's a two-way street. And I don't think I have to state every year. If I'm still working, you know that working in Detroit, 5 o'clock is almost impossible. I mean, you used to say when you were working full-time, can't come to these early meetings.
Listen, I'm not setting the times. I mean, I'm not sending them out to everybody. Bob's coming up with the times and the dates and sending them out. I'm not scheduling it, so. But if I was still working and coming here, I would say something. But I don't recall a discussion happening or a response happening about the times. I don't. Do you remember what the email said? I mean, we're not just gonna ignore your request.
I have to go back.
I would have to go back too. I mean, it's, we want
Last
it all
year's were
work.
5:30. The year before that, I think, was 6:30.
So how did we get changed to 5 this year? Was it something? Either way.
I mean, no sense in putting.
Well, what we need to do for
time,
next year,
but-
we'll put it on the agenda and discuss, just like I put it on the agenda to have these videotaped. We talked about it for years. I put it on the agenda. We'll put it on the agenda and we'll set the times.
I would say
As
let's
the
vote
board.
it
Vote it
at the
on.
meeting and say, okay, these are the times, everybody knows it up front, everybody agrees to it, and that's it in this story.
But I think what we're doing here with cameras is huge, because
Well, this
everybody
right
can
here,
watch.
again, since Bob's got this, I mean, this makes it so easy too to go through. I mean, yeah, we're still flipping pages, but it's still easy to
You
go
don't
through
have
with
to.
this.
I mean, it's great. Okay, any more comments? Okay, we, motion to adjourn? Adjourn.
We're adjourned. Hold the audio for a second. Go ahead and go, George.